It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show! Hey everybody! It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Great.
Smooth as butter.
Really good. Now that the weekend's over.
Hope everybody's out there is doing okay and had a fun Halloween night and weekend and all that kind of stuff. And welcome to November. 2 more months left of 2018, guys. Can you believe it?
No, this year's flown.
They usually do.
Mm-hmm. Seems like it happens a little bit more quickly every year.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, I've been reading comics.
Okay.
Yay!
There's a plus.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that cool? We're a comic podcast, and I'm reading comics. But yeah, I got to read the first trade of Regression, which, man, it's been a little while since I picked that up, and so that was cool. And I have started Richard Corbin's Shadows on the Grave. I was actually impressed. That's actually a fairly nice looking hardcover, and that they've kind of rearranged it. It's because when those 8 issues came out, it was kind of an anthology form, so you'd have a couple of stories and then parts of a couple of others. With this collection, they've reorganized it so that all the stories are together. So that's cool. Get to read the big stories in the back half of the book instead of in pieces like they were in the floppies. But and I also just finished just the other day the next secret project, the reading material for that. So
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
mm-hmm. It won't be secret for long because I think we're doing it next week. But
Yeah, I think so.
but still, it's secret project for now.
Secret for now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I read some comics, too.
Yay!
Yay!
What a coincidence.
I'm still doing my 31 Days of Horror. And my Ziploc bag full of comics this week had the first, I think it was 5 or 6 of Domino and her annual. It's all right. I'm can't say that it's the first one I grab out of my comic pile, but it's all right. One that I really, really liked was the Die, Die, Die. I think they've only got one of those out. Maybe the second one's come out or soon will be, but that one's really good. I think that's also a Kirkman one, so go figure I would like that one, huh? And then, by coincidence, I also read the Sins of the Father run for Batman. That one was kind of interesting. I know the Telltale games aren't canon, so when they make a comic book about it, is it still not canon, or is it canon now?
It's canon in the video game universe.
Okay.
Right, that's the deal, is they keep separating things out into separate universes.
Yeah.
Because that's never gotten them into trouble in the past before, you know.
Nope.
Can't think of anything. But Yeah, that one was kind of interesting. It kind of gave us a look of the dirty side of Thomas Wayne. And I don't know. I think it's been mentioned one other time before when Batman went back in time that his dad may be crooked. I'd have to reread that because it's been a while. But it was kind of weird because, Batman always fights what happened to his parents, of course, is a main thing that pushes him because he doesn't want other people to have to go through that. And, but he finds out what he's been protecting is the very thing that he fights every day. So it's kind of like, wow, what do you do? So very interesting story. I won't give away too many spoilers, but
Well, not yet, anyway.
Yeah, not yet. But yeah, that one's pretty good. Fill up my bag again for next week, and I'm ready to go.
Woo!
Yeah. I think I'm gonna start with the Walmart ones. I haven't really read a lot of those, so I'm gonna try and get one of those down this week too.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, this past weekend, I was at the comic shop, as you well know, Thomas, and spent a lot of time up there for Halloween Fest.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Had a good time. Other than that, I did pick up a book I've had for, if you're ready for this, I've had this for 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
Is that all?
Yeah.
You're just now getting around to reading it?
No, I'm rereading it. This is about the third time I've read it. And it's Batman animated by Paul Dini and Chip Kidd. This book covers episodes, layouts, characters. It has some of the original artwork and reproductions of cells from the television series. I'm so fascinated with this book. I'm so happy that I grabbed this when it was on the shelf because it is some fine background reading, and yet it's fascinating. It's entertaining. It's not just facts, it's entertainment. So I'm really happy with this.
That sounds good.
Neat. Somebody agrees
Lacey
too.
likes it too.
There you go.
It's unanimous.
They're after me.
It's the Hound of the Baskervilles. For me, as Les has already mentioned, I had Comic Fest last weekend, and it was a success, and everybody seemed to have fun. I hope y'all had a chance to get out there and hit your local comic stores, because I'm sure they had some fun activities going on. Also caught up on some of my reading because I got behind. And I know I've talked a lot about this in the past. I do spend a lot of time on Twitch. And I had come across this channel that shows nothing but public domain films. And they try to pick up more films as they go along. And I stumbled across this by quite accident. And if you're interested in checking it out, it is called PD Cinema. That's all one word. P as in Paul, D as in David, and then cinema. That's all. It's all in one word. And I mean, within a few hours, like I told the guys, I caught the tail end of Night of the Living Dead. They showed the original Phantom of the Opera, Dementia 13.
Just a lot of different films that are now in the public domain, and they're just showing. And I mean, there's not a lot of people on there, but that's okay, because I mean, no one's really paying attention to what's going on in chat anyway. We're all watching the film, so it's kind of a nice little thing. They're also showing. Oh God, we just talked about this one. Horror Express. They've been showing Horror Express, so I've had my fill of that film for a while.
It doesn't take much of that film to get your fill, trust me.
No, totally. But
yeah, the one time I flipped over there, they were showing The Fast and the Furious, the 1955 version.
Right.
Which I'm not gonna lie, and I haven't looked it up. I have no idea if the current franchise was a reboot of that or not. I kind of bet not, but who knows? Could have been, sort of, in a weird way. It's kind of a terrible movie, but anyway.
It could have been a reboot, and again, it could have been, hey, that's a really cool name. Let's use that for, something,
Yeah, I mean, it was about a car race. I mean, so, it could have been loosely based. I'm not that familiar with the current franchise either, so.
Right. So. But, I probably spend way too much time on Twitch and not on... I don't really spend a lot of time on regular TV and that kind of stuff anymore, so I guess that's fine. But, yeah, definitely go check that out if you are kind of curious, because, yeah, there's some bad movies, but there's some good ones, too, that, that just... Things have happened where it fell into public domain. We just talked about that a few weeks ago about Night of the Living Dead. It's a good film. It happened just to fall into public domain for reasons that we're not going to go back over again, because like I said, we just did it on that episode. Suggest you go back and listen to that one. But it's kind of cool. It's nice to see that they're branching out to do other things. I mean, of course, it's primarily video games, but that there's other forms of entertainment on the site. It's good to diversify.
Yep, I like the idea.
Alrighty, before we get into this week's topic, want to take a couple of moments to thank the fine folks at Things from Another World for being a sponsor of the Fellowship. Currently, the deals they are running are their evergreen deals. We highly suggest for you to be checking out our website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, and particularly the sponsors page, because we're in November now, so they're going to be adding some other sales here in the not too distant future. So, go to our website and check out the deals that may be popping up here in the not too distant future. But the ones that are currently being run are 40% off comics, statues, toys, and merchandise, 30% off select pre-order manga titles, and 50% off Nick and Dent comics. So while you're on our sponsors page, you'll see links there, and you'll also see a little graphic for Things from Another World. If you just click on any of those, that will take you to their website, so you can get a little bit more detailed information about the sales that they're running, and lets them know that we sent you their way. So thank you, Things from Another World, for being a sponsor of the Fellowship. We appreciate it. All right. Hopefully y'all enjoyed our horror month. We always have fun doing that, and I think this was a little different. This year was a little different, and that kind of added to our enjoyment, I think. Mm-hmm. For this week, we are doing something a little different. If you're a long-time listener or even a short-time listener and have checked out some of our older cast, every once in a while we do a casting call. We've taken either, and these have been primarily superhero films or TV shows. And if they're TV shows, we add an additional season and then cast some other characters to show up. If they're movies, it's usually a sequel. We're going to have another one here in a not too distant future, but for this week, we're doing a little something different. This week, we are casting a superhero TV series that never existed. And I just thought we might as well take it up a gear and, hey, we're doing casting calls. They're never going to happen. Why don't we do casting calls for a show that never happened? So
we're just changing the tense.
There you go. So for this week, I decided to create a New Gods TV series that is taking place during the mid-90s. I specifically said 95, but 94, 96, that kind of range. That kind of time frame. And I sent the guys out a casting call sheet saying, okay, here's the characters we're gonna cast and have some fun. And with that, I'm going to open it up to the floor and let whoever wants to pick a character and who they cast. So, who would like to take the reins?
The reins, huh? I didn't realize that horsemanship was going to be involved with this, but
woohoo!
All right, I'll stick my neck out there.
Okay.
And I'm going to start off with Mr. Miracle, I think, because why not?
Sure.
And I'm also going to start off with a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm not really a huge TV guy, so a lot, not all, but a lot of the folks I've picked for these are more movies than TV. So I think it'll still work. I think it'll be fun. Some of these people are people who have done TV, but they weren't kind of doing it at the time or whatever, and some of them were. So it kind of varies a bit. But I think for this time frame, the person I would pick to play Mr. Miracle, I actually came up with two names for this. I was kind of torn. The one I think I like better is Ralph Fiennes.
Okay.
What was he? He was getting really big at that point. That was the time frame. It was kind of early in his career. In 95, he starred in Strange Days. The next year, he was in The English Patient. A couple of years later, he played John Steed in the Avengers movie that pretty much I think nobody watched. Later on, played Lord Voldemort, obviously. So I think he's got enough presence and is kind of flexible enough in his performances that I think it would have been a really interesting choice.
It is. It's a very interesting choice. I like that one a lot.
Okay, let me try this. Same character.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at that time frame, and I was thinking Rob Lowe. Because you've got a slight smarmy attitude with the character. And to tell you the truth, I was also thinking of Tom Cruise.
Yep. That's who I picked.
They just fit that feeling.
Well, he kind of looks like Scott Free did. So that's why I went with Tom Cruise. Plus, at 95, could you have made a movie or TV? Well, I was thinking movie too. I thought movie. So most of mine are movie actors. but I don't think you could have made a movie without Tom Cruise.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I agree with you on Tom Cruise.
I can
Okay.
I can see Rob Lowe too, though.
I could. Yep.
Okay. For my choices, I actually had two. I couldn't decide, and for both of them are kind of early in their careers. One would probably not become a little bit more known for another couple of years, and one a couple of years later after that. But one is Jim Caviezel, if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
From Person of Interest, and I mean he became well known as Passion of
The Christ.
Yep.
Passion of Christ.
He was Jesus.
Yep, but that would have been 6 years later. But still, I thought of that. But the first thought I had was Simon Baker, because I was thinking The Mentalist.
Was that long ago?
No, Mentalist is a little bit more recent, but still, it's still kind of. I mean, you're talking about 6 years later. Baker would have done The Guardian, and that's where he became really big. Was The Guardian.
Okay.
But he was also in L.A. Confidential around that time. That's around that time frame.
Oh yeah. That was.
So, but I mean, I love The Mentalist. And I can kind of see some of Scott Free in there. So I don't know. I kind of went a different route, I guess.
That was good though.
Not really, because my other choice for this was Travolta. So.
Okay.
Because he was just starting to get real popular again right about then.
Yeah.
And this totally would have been a better career choice for him than Battlefield Earth ever was. So.
And I like that you picked Jesus for Mr. Miracle.
Well, that was not my intention.
Good fit.
Okay. Who's next?
Cool. Who wants to go first next?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with the Highfather.
Okay.
He has like a very Zeus-like appearance. So I went with Anthony Hopkins. Like I said, I was thinking movie instead of TV.
Okay. No, that's fine.
That's, yeah. I mean, you got the whole Odin thing going on now, but yeah.
Yeah.
He would have been a younger Odin. Or a slightly older Hannibal Lecter, either way.
Yeah. But he's got that demeanor that demands respect. So.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of went voice of God with Highfather too, but I went a slightly different route. I went with Morgan Freeman.
Ooh, good choice. Yeah.
God again?
Well, why not?
Well, it's the new gods.
Jesus.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
We got Jesus as Mr. Miracle, so we might as well have God as the high.
Mine get darker from here, so it's cool.
No pun intended.
Oh, not where I was going with that. So not where I was going with that.
It's a good choice. It's definitely different, but I like it. I like
I do
it.
too.
For my choice, it's not a name anybody would recognize, but if I tell you a role that he was in, you could probably see him and go, okay, yeah.
One of those, oh, that guy type ones, yeah.
That guy, yes. The name is Theodore Bickle.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I do know who he is.
And for you Next Generation fans, he was Worf's adopted father.
Yes.
He has the look. He has the presence. I think he would have been a great Highfather.
Didn't he do some Fiddler on the Roof too, somewhere along the line in his career?
I'm sure he did Fiddler on the Roof at one point. He was in the Babylon 5 TV movie as well. A couple of them. He was in a couple of episodes. I'm not seeing it right now, but that doesn't mean he didn't do it.
He did a guest spot on The Pretender.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you Google an image of him, you go, okay, yeah, I can see.
Yeah, it's one of those, oh yeah, that guy things.
Yeah, that guy.
Yep.
And not to mince words, was it Theodore Bickel you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And your choice, Les?
I didn't have one. For some unknown reason, I could not come up with somebody.
Okay.
But I do agree with the choices the three of you have made. If that gets me brownie points.
It does with me.
Yeah, she's easy though.
I'm probably the only one who knows how to make brownies.
No. I can make brownies.
From scratch?
Shut up.
That was not stated.
That was not the requisite.
That was not part of the deal.
Alrighty. Next casting choice.
How about Desaad?
Okay. Who do you have?
For some unknown reason, I went with somebody that, to me, can give you the evil vision, yet pull off most anything, and that's Tim Curry.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yep.
That's almost typecasting, man.
Yeah.
I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a bad way at all.
Bad way, right.
Believe me, not at all.
No, that's a good choice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It is.
Desaad, huh?
Mm-hmm.
My choice, and I'm sure Mikey's going to go ooh to this. Robin Sachs, better known as Ethan Rayne from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, I could see that.
Back from Giles Ripper days.
I can see
he was that. Yeah. If you watch the show, especially the episodes that he was in, you go, oh, I could definitely see him as Desaad. Just the scheming and
smarmy enough. Yeah.
Yes. Totally. He could. It's almost typecasting there too, but you got to have someone who can pull it off, and he definitely could pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
See, I thought you would approve, Mikey.
Oh yeah, I like.
Who's your pick?
I went with somebody a little bit younger, actually.
Okay.
In this time frame, I went with Robin Atkin Downes. I'm trying to remember. I think I read that he actually did a voice for this somewhere along the line, or something very similar. But I thought he would have done a really nice job. He was Byron in Babylon 5.
Okay.
And honestly, that was only like 2 years later than this, so he was around. He's actually, lately, he's been doing mostly voiceover work, which, he's got a great voice. So I think that's, for me, for a character like this, that's a key. Whoever does this has got to have a great voice.
Right.
And that's why I half jokingly called Tim Curry kind of a homer choice for this because of the voice. I mean, it's got nothing to do with hardly any of the rest of it. It's the voice thing for this character, I think, is important. And I think this would have been a lot of fun with Robin Atkin Downes.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at him, and yeah, I could see him pulling it off. And yeah, you got to have the voice plays a part in a lot of roles. and I think this is definitely one of them as well.
Yep.
Okay.
I think I missed the mark on this one. Compared to the other ones that we did, he's kind of the one that's smaller in stature. So I went with Kevin Spacey. I said I think I'm way off after listening to Bill's choices.
No, not at all. No, I like it.
Yeah, that would definitely work too.
I like it.
I was thinking like the guy in Usual Suspects, where he had everyone fooled and, you know.
Absolutely.
Almost godlike.
He can play the schemer. He can definitely play the schemer.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, you're not off the mark at all.
That's that one's fine. I like that one. Okay. Who do we cast next?
Let's do Granny Goodness.
Okay.
I went with the older crazy lady of this time and chose Kathy Bates.
That's another Homer choice.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not for any bad reasons. Not for any bad reasons at all. The funny thing is that she really wasn't necessarily that old back then.
Yeah.
She played a lot. I think she played a few roles where she was playing older than she really was.
Like Misery.
Yeah.
I think they kind of played her up on that one.
Yeah.
And what was the other king one? Dolores Claiborne.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice choice. Very nice. I like that one.
Yeah, I went. My thought on this was a little campier, I think, and also someone who was not necessarily who would have required some serious makeup to play the role. But I think there's going to be a lot of that in this. I went with Kathy Moriarty because I just envision just enough kind of overacting in this role, and that's something she just always did brilliantly. I mean, like I said, she can be made to look the part. That's not hard. You just give her the shock of gray hair and all of that, but the rest of it is just pure personality, and I think she would have done a really nice job.
That's a good choice. I like that one a lot.
It is a good choice.
Okay, Les?
For this one, I took it a funnier view because I thought that Granny Goodness was always a comic role.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a tough choice, but I was thinking, well, it's either Rue McClanahan or Estelle Getty.
I like it. Either way, I like it.
The reason why I'm laughing is my choice was B. Arthur.
The only reason I didn't go with B. Arthur was she had passed away, I think, by that time.
I think she was still around, but not by too much. I can check that quick.
That was on my list also. I can see.
Oh, you are 2009.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So
yeah.
Plenty of time.
So
nice.
Because and I'll tell you where my inspiration came from. That was I was flipping channels and an episode of Maude came on, and just seeing her in those outfits, colorful outfits, reminded me of Granny Goodness always being in this green armor with the cloak and all that. And I'm like, okay, this would be a little different. Yeah, I mean, you could play it up for some camp, but maybe have her shine in a little bit more of a more dramatic role, which the general public did not see a lot of. So that was my reasoning. But we were kind of in the same ballpark. We were in the same house.
Yeah.
Okay, who do we want to do next?
How about Steppenwolf?
Okay. Y'all want me to take the lead on this one?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm going to go back to what Mikey said earlier and about the voice. And that was a major decision. Besides, I like him, and I like him as an actor. That led for my reasoning, and that's Keith David.
Yep.
With that voice alone, could
Yep.
just put with the right lines could just put shivers down your spine.
Yep.
And that's what you need for Steppenwolf. And he's a badass. He went toe to toe with Roddy Piper, man.
Yeah, how much more do you need? I mean, he I won't say he didn't go toe to toe with Riddick in Pitch Black, but he held his own.
Yep. So that's my pick.
I was looking at Jeremy Irons after his sterling performance in the Die Hard movie. I thought he had the presence that could pull off the brash character of Steppenwolf.
Yeah, I could see it.
You know, my thing with Jeremy Irons is that he got typecast probably not long after this time frame into these weird overacting roles that just seemed silly after he almost became a parody of himself after a while. But if you want to see him in a really nice role, the Man in the Iron Mask.
I was just thinking that.
He played Aramis, and I thought he did a really nice job in that movie. He hadn't quite gotten into the overacting thing yet at that point. So yeah, I mean, I like the choice for this, definitely.
That's my favorite Jeremy Irons movie is Man in the Iron Mask.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. It is an amazing cast.
It was. See, I couldn't put a name to the face, but I knew whoever I casted would have a like Rob Zombie looking kind of face. So I thought, hell, why not just put Rob Zombie?
God, what was he like,
wasn't
12
doing
then?
nothing in 95. No, he was in the swing of full core White Zombie. So
All right.
I think rock and roll definitely aged him.
Well, maybe a little. It's a hard
little.
life, you know.
Yep. But he would definitely have the voice.
So I for me, I went with more of a physical presence for this one, and so the person that popped into my head was Liam Neeson. Just because he's a big guy, and has been in movies where he has done the menacing thing really well. And I mean, I think he's got a voice that could pull it off.
I was about to say there's nothing really wrong with the voice either, but
Right. I think yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So where do we go next?
All right. Do we want to go ahead and jump in with Big Barda?
Okay.
And this one, for me, was a bit of a tricky one. I think you're probably going to have to do a little. I mean, in '95 with TV, I mean, you're kind of. I mean, ordinarily, I would say you might need a little CGI to make somebody look bigger than they really are. But I don't know. TV in '95, you're probably not going to get that. I was a little torn on this one. I have a couple of options. I think my favorite option is Demi Moore.
Okay.
I think she's got enough of the look, and I think she's got plenty of presence.
Interesting choice.
I went with Shannon Dotree. Just because she was doing, this would have been right in between 90210 and Charmed. So she had that personality and...
Okay.
She turned out to have a little bit more of a dark side later on, too, so maybe.
She did.
Yeah, I didn't really go so much with the physical presence, but I was thinking about some of the stuff she did later on, and I was thinking she could pull it off, although she obviously didn't have the that history at the time. I went with Ashley Judd. This was real early in her career.
Yeah.
And I think she could have done it.
Yep.
She certainly can act.
She can.
Well, I took the idea of a physical presence, and I had a tough time because my first choice was Brooke Shields. As tall as she is to begin with.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then I thought Kathy Ireland also is tall.
Ooh, yeah.
But I don't know that I could get past the voice.
Yeah, that's tough, yeah. That's not the voice you would think of, I would think.
No.
Or Nicole Kidman. 90s, she was all over the place.
Yeah.
Could be. See, my secondary choice on this was Salma Hayek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My concern there is I'd have a hard time getting over the fact that she's so short, but that can be fixed in post, kind of. She might have to stand on a box or wear really high heels or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yep.
What the hey?
Okay. So who do we do next?
It's father and son.
Mm,
So we'll go with Orion.
okay.
And I was thinking someone who had temper issues and had to learn how to control it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with Russell Crowe.
Wow.
It was the first name that popped,
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he could do it, definitely. My choice is, yes, I thought about anger issues, the intensity, and all that. So I went with Wentworth Miller, Captain Cold himself.
Ah.
Sure. If you're looking for intensity, that's as good a place to go as any. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a good choice.
That is a very good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you have, Mikey?
I don't know if this one's a cheat or not, but this is another one that I thought the voice might be important, and also I've seen this guy act all over the place, so it's been. I think it's almost an easy pick. I went with Clancy Brown. And I have to admit, I was actually kind of thinking Kurgan. era Clancy Brown, which is a bit younger, which is a bit earlier. I mean, like 10 years earlier. But, I mean, if he could channel that a little bit, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good one.
So, sorry, Liz. Kurgan is from Highlander. We talked about Highlander a couple weeks ago, I think. You haven't seen it, but he was kind of the bad guy.
Surprise,
Cool.
surprise.
Yeah,
Kind of.
kind of the bad guy. Just a bit. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Yeah, what he said.
I don't have the voice for it.
You can't go wrong with Clancy Brown.
Although he died in Buckaroo Banzai.
Okay. Les, have we got your pick yet?
Yeah, I had that double pick with Cruz and Rob Lowe for Orion.
Okay.
Because I can see Cruz jumping up and down on the couch. So that's about where I stood with it.
Okay. All right. Last one is the elephant in the room. Dark Side. Who you got?
I went total cornball. We're thinking 90s. Big, buff, towers over everybody. Arnold Schwarzenegger. A totally on appearance.
Yeah, that's pretty cornball.
Yeah, I told you. I went with obvious, you know.
I had to go with menacing again. And admittedly, it would probably take some makeup. But then again, this is Dark Side. It's going to take makeup anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're committing to makeup, you're looking at voice again.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go with Michael Ironside.
Ooh. That's a good choice.
I think I can't think of anybody. I don't want to say more menacing, but I can't. There are very few out there who can do menacing the way he can.
Yeah, I like the voice of that one better than the voice I have in mind. Although the actor I chose has a kind of impressive voice, but you can tweak that stuff in post as well.
Mm-hmm.
I went with John Schuck.
Painless?
Painless.
See,
Who's awesome.
right, and having seen him play a full-blown Klingon, oh yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, so makeup's not an issue.
Right. And he can do the shouty thing, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because you pretty much have to play a Klingon.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Yep.
Was that everybody's choice? Who were we missing?
Sorry, I have nothing on this one.
Oh, okay. I think overall were some really good casting choices. A lot of them that I had not thought about. That I'm like, oh, why didn't I think about them?
Yeah, we're kind of all over the place, but in a really good way. In ways that we're like making each other think and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yep.
Now, if I may, I took a twist on this,
Cool.
and I got a few people for parts that I thought would be funny.
Cool.
We've already touched with Granny Goodness. I can see Robin Williams as Darkseid. And the one Highfather character, one actor I could think of was Bob Newhart.
Oh, gosh. Well, if you're going to do that, why not just go straight to Carl Reiner? I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, then I would do Reiner as Darkseid and Mel Brooks as Highfather.
There you go.
And let them do the 2,000-year-old man right there.
Oh, that would be awesome. It'd never work, but it would be awesome. You see, I had a backup choice for Highfather, but it was Clint Eastwood, which would have been a totally different Highfather.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally different. It would have been, I think, interesting, but very different from the whole, obviously, God motif that we went with for the most part.
Right.
An Unforgiven era Eastwood as
Highfather.
yeah, in that God role thing would be interesting.
I can see
Definitely.
I was thinking more Creature with Clint Eastwood, since he did one of the Creature movies.
It had been a while, but I guess he could handle all that makeup. Put him in some prosthetics. I can't say that word for some reason.
Yeah. Easy for you to say.
Worcestershire, yeah.
Which you say perfectly every time, by the way. Just saying.
He's had some practice.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, this was fun. I know we always have fun doing these casting calls, but I figured it would be a little bit different with this since we didn't really have much to go on other than other resources. Since this was not
Since there wasn't actually a show.
Right.
Well, but haven't they been threatening to do something with them on the new DC?
Well, yeah, there's going to be a New Gods movie, and it's going to be directed by Ava
DuVernay?
Yes.
I was making assumptions on pronouncing. I have no idea, but
Right.
that's kind of how it's spelled. So
Who
So have
did
any
re-
of y'all... Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was wondering if any of y'all have checked out the DC channel yet.
no.
Nope.
Not yet, but it's on my radar.
Yeah. I've been kicking it around too.
I know we've had it up on the store, and I think I made a comment to Les. I was kind of surprised because we were streaming one of the movies, and somewhere in the middle of it there was like a couple of commercials, and I'm like, that should not be happening, I would think.
Wow. No, it shouldn't.
So I don't know what the heck was going on.
I don't know. Hulu does that too.
I hate that Hulu does that. It's
Oh.
like you make me pay more, and you still do it. What the heck?
Well,
And you can't fast forward them.
and from what I've been hearing, kind of going back to the whole Twitch thing, is that you avoid ads if you subscribe to that channel for $5 a month. But apparently, recently, Twitch has kind of done a backdoor thing to where all of a sudden those who are subscribers to the channel still see some ads every once in a while. And you're going, are you kidding me?
That's crazy. And honestly, that's part of the main reason people cut the cord.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. But they got to make their money somewhere.
Well, they do. I give them $20 a month.
Yeah, but that's a drop in the bucket. compared to
Well,
what
you have
freaking
millions of
Chevrolet
people doing
gives them, and Miller and Budweiser and Pepsi and
Yeah.
Papa John's. I mean, they're
Well,
dropping millions,
Mhm.
millions, hundreds of
Well,
millions wouldn't surprise me.
and of course we're kind of getting off topic. But that's okay.
Whatever, we were done anyway.
We were done anyway. I know. But it just, I don't have a problem if you're doing like you're watching a bunch of them, a bunch of shows or movies in a row, and then between the shows,
Yeah.
you get a bunch of that. That's one thing. But when you're actually interrupting the show, which is, like you said, the reason why some people are getting away from regular TV and cable and stuff, is to avoid that, then you're kind of defeating the purpose.
Yep. Well, and I also think, this may be selfish of me, I also think by releasing one episode a week, you're kind of defeating the purpose why people stream content too. Usually when you're streaming something, you want to watch a big chunk of that, not every Friday, tune in at 7 o'clock,
Yeah, maybe not though on that. That's I mean, that's the whole binge watching thing. Netflix has kind of made that their thing. If Netflix is not really your model, then that's not as important. But if you want to string things out so you can string things out and get people involved for a longer period of time, and in a way,
well, I can.
You're paying by the month when you're doing this anyway. So if they give you everything at once, you pay for 1 month and quit, and you're done. This way, if they do it weekly, then you only get 4 episodes. They string that out over 3 months. That's 3 months you joined for, as opposed to 1.
True. Or you wait a couple of weeks and join, and then watch all of it at once.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Or wait until they're all out, and then join, and then do a binge watch, and then that's it.
And then quit again, right? I'm not saying there aren't ways around it. I'm just.
Oh no. I can see both ways. I could see them dropping in all episodes, but for DC to do it when there's not really a lot of new content, so you're basically relying on content that's been out, and more than likely fans who already have it on the DVDs and stuff. You're like, okay, well, I've got all this in my collection. Why do I want to spend another much ever it is
per month
to see all this, to have all this go? I've got this. Yeah.
You know what it is? Convenience. I don't have to take a DVD somewhere. I can watch it on my phone, or I can go babysit and watch it on their TV, or it's all a matter of convenience.
Yeah, but that's a hard sell.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Not everybody's going to go that route. Some people will, for sure, but not everybody.
Yeah.
I know me, I like having it at my fingertips, and I'm not locked into one device to watch it,
Yeah.
To whereas if I'm at home and watch it, it's go to the room with the DVD player, or I guess you can watch those on Xboxes and stuff too now.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, most of the consoles, yeah.
But Netflix started something that's really got me kind of irked, which I don't know if it would bother other people the way it's bothering me. But now when you hover over a show, they start playing that show.
Well, sometimes they play the
stuff.
show, and sometimes it's like a trailer, and it chaps my ass.
Yeah.
I hate it.
But see, I watch a 2-year-old, and you have settings in there where you can set it down for little kids. Well, some of the shows that they're showing for little kids isn't really little kid content, so by the time you hurry up and try to, because it lags you out while you're over that show and it plays, but, they're already exposed to this stuff that you didn't want them to watch in the first place and wondering why is it on the list. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like Netflix's younger audience they consider 12 and under. Well, you can't let a 2-year-old watch what you'd let a 12-year-old watch,
Mm-hmm.
So I wish they'd quit doing that or have a way that we can go in there and change that to a little kid.
Right.
You know?
Refine their sorting technology so that it will. You can have chunks. You can have like the 0 to 4 group, and you can have the 5 to 9 group, and you can have and just do it that way, as opposed to just kids being all one age.
Yep. And for a 2-year-old, I don't mind guns and violence and that kind of thing, but not for a 2-year-old. That's violence has become almost part of every cartoon, but not for a 2-year-old. So there's major differences in what you'd want them, exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I wish Netflix would really change that, and they just started doing that too. And it's like, well, if I want to know about the movie, you have a place where I can click to watch the trailer.
Right. Why are you throwing it at me like this? I didn't want that.
Let me turn the autoplay off. You know?
Yeah, totally.
Which, once again, is a service you're paying for, So it should be more catered to the way you want it and not the way that they're...
Yeah, give me a little more control.
Right. Especially where kids are concerned,
Will someone please think about the children?
It's for the kids. And if they don't do it, they hate kids. Yeah.
I love kids.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
If they're cooked properly.
Oh. Yeah.
All right, on that note, I think we're going to take a quick break.
No, that wasn't supposed to sound like that. But...
Dude, you got a little something stuck in your teeth there.
It's my grin.
It's somebody's grin, anyway.
We're going to take a quick break and be back with our weekly picks. And we're back. And it's time for our weekly picks. And leading off is Les.
My first choice comes from DC Comics. A new series called Suicide Squad: The Black Files. This is 2 stories in a magazine format. The one story is called Suicide Squad Black. Kind of fits. And it is assembling a special ops team with El Diablo, Enchantress, and the Gentleman Ghost. This is kind of an interest to me. But the big interest is in the first story, Revenge of Cobra. We have writer Mike W. Barr doing this one.
Wow.
I've always been a fan of Mike Barr. His storylines are so much fun. Mm-hmm. So this has got my approval right from the start.
Nice.
Yeah, some great runs on Batman. His stuff on Star Trek is almost as good as the Peter David stuff. And that's just tip of the iceberg of his work. So yeah, that's great to see him writing again. That's not a name I hadn't seen in a while, or at least in current books in a while. Yeah, so it's nice to see that. Time. It's nice to see that, hear that name again.
Cool.
Alrighty. Yep. Liz.
Alright. My first pick, I've actually already talked about it a little bit. It's Sins of the Father, the trade. This will collect all 6 issues. Now, if you're a fan of the games, this doesn't, it kind of goes with the game, but it kind of doesn't go with the game because it deals more with Deadshot than Penguin and all the ones that were in the game, or at least the first one. I haven't played the second one yet. But like I said before, it kind of touches on if Thomas Wayne was corrupt and he was locking people up in Arkham to kind of get his way in business deals and that kind of thing. If he wanted the building you were in, he had you committed and you were insane and he took it. So, like I said, it kind of puts Batman in a difficult spot, but it kind of lines him up with Deadshot, and if Batman wouldn't have had Alfred, how things might have turned out for him. So it's kind of a neat little glimpse into that too. So if you enjoyed the games and you like a good Batman story, this is definitely the trade to pick up. Like I said, it will collect all the issues and answer all of your questions.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they have to leave it open
As
for
much
a
as
second,
it's going to, anyway, I guess.
Right. Because there was 2 parts to the game, so.
Nice.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I'll bite.
But the way they handled this with only doing Deadshot, it would be easy for them to come back with some more of the Telltale game and throw another story out there. But I didn't know a lot of Deadshot's backstory, so this was kind of an interesting read.
Cool.
Yep.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Okie dokie. My first pick is a Boom book. And it looks like Empty Man is getting an ongoing title. If you may or may not recall, The Empty Man was a miniseries back in 2015, written by Cullen Bunn and drawn by Vanessa Del Rey. It was a really good read. It was about an odd condition that had started popping up where people just sort of lost their freaking minds and then blamed whatever random acts of violence they performed on something called the Empty Man. Well, the new ongoing series, Cullen Bunn is back. He is using artist Jesus Hervas this time around. And it's been a little time since then, and the Empty Man thing has spread. And like to dangerous levels, and so this is going to be. I'm excited about this. This is going to be a lot of fun. The first series was awesome, and I'm looking forward to this one big time.
Yeah, cool to see this come back.
Yep.
Will they be doing a trade of that first?
They did a trade of it like back in late 15 or early 16.
I'm sure they'll put out a new edition.
I was going to say, whether they re-release it or not, I have not heard, but
I hadn't heard, but that would be the smart thing, and Boom's pretty on top of things.
They usually do the smart thing, yeah. I mean, if it's not out very soon, it hopefully by the time they get the first trade of this book out, they'll reprint it.
Yeah, I'm sure there would be like a new edition or just a new printing or something. I'm sure that would be,
it's very likely.
There may, I'm sure it'd be in the new previews, which I have not had too much time to take a look at, but who knows, it may even be in there. So,
yep.
Alrighty. I am next, and for my first choice is a title from Ahoy Comics, and I believe Les or I have talked about this one, and it's the 3rd issue of Wrong Earth. And this has been a really cool series so far. And the premise is these are parallel Earths, and we are following a vigilante. Well, he's a dark and grim vigilante on one Earth. And on this other Earth, he's more of a camp character. And something has happened to where they have switched places. So the grim vigilante is having to deal with a world that's kinder and gentler, where the campy version is dealing with he can't even handle the police because the police are either corrupt or going after him because he's considered a bad guy because he's a vigilante. It's been a really interesting read so far, and it's written by Tom Payer, who's a long-time writer in comics, with art by Jamal Ingle, who is no stranger to this podcast. We've talked about Molly Danger and some of the other stuff he's done. So really, really good book. Highly recommend this one.
Nice.
Yes.
It's been fun. It's been a, well, I don't know about fun's maybe not be the right word, but it's been a really interesting read.
Fun in a dark way, yeah.
Alrighty, Les, you're up again.
I'm back. And from Boom Studios comes a new graphic novel based on the movie Wet Hot American Summer. The name of the trade is Wet Hot American Summer. For those that saw this movie, you had Janine Garofalo and David Hyde Pierce among the actors. It was an amusing little story. Not the greatest thing, but good for a laugh or two. And now they are doing a graphic novel of this, about this camp. It's not going to be the same story. So luckily we will be able to get something fresh in here. But to me it's going to be fun just to read this and equate it to what was in the movie itself. So I'm going to step forward on this one.
Cool.
Sounds nice.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, Liz.
My second pick is coming out of Zenescope. It's Van Helsing's Sword of Heaven. There's supposed to be one weapon that the undead are all scared of, and Lascelles is going to go off and she's going to find this and put everything on the line to finally do away with the vampires. Since this is dealing with vampires, I'm taking it this is happening right after her and Robin had the big vampire scare and they almost had to kill each other to take care of that. So this one should be pretty good. She's definitely got the vengeance behind her and the drive to find this. So Sword of Heaven should be a pretty good one.
Yeah, Liesl is one of my favorite of the Zenescope bunch.
Yeah.
I like her. She's fun.
Yeah.
Her attitude is great. She didn't take nothing off of nobody.
Nobody.
Nope. Nobody.
Yeah. And didn't think twice about killing her friend if she had to.
Nope, she totally would have.
She would have.
No doubt about it. She'd have felt bad about it, but she'd have done it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Okie dokie. My second pick is a Black Mask book, and this is the trade for Breathless. This collects the 4-issue series. This was the story of a cryptozoologist whose job it was to... She dealt with dead monsters, we'll just put it that way. And in the course of her work, she accidentally had her asthma cured from part of one of these dead monsters, and then all of a sudden she's on the run from both her own employer and their main rival. And it was a really exciting story. It's pretty violent too, I have to say, but that's all right. It was a ton of fun along the way, and again in that sort of dark, twisted way. So this is, like I said, this is the trade. I know I'm pretty sure I talked about this series when it was in floppies, so it's all together now. You can read it all at once. Go check it out.
Woohoo! That was a good story.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, I am next, and for my second choice, I'm doing an Image title. Hey, not Mikey. Ooh. Yes, I'm stepping on toes here. I know that.
We are in the upside down.
Things are not as they seem.
Mm-hmm. And this is a collection that's back in print, and this is the second volume of the Hack and Slash series. This actually collects the first 14 issues of the original ongoing, and the first annual. And which the collection includes villains such as Acid Washed and Father Wrath. This was again, this is not exactly the right word, but this was a fun read. I enjoyed Hack and Slash a hell of a lot, and I'm glad that these are coming back into print because, frankly, I need to pick it up myself. But an opportunity for others who didn't get a chance to read the earlier books to have access to it, which is a good thing.
Yep. Fun characters. In a very bloody and violent sort of way, but yeah. I think we've made it pretty obvious what we find fun around here. So I think calling it fun is okay.
Right.
Because it's fun for us. Whether we're weird or not, you decide.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, and our honorable mention this week is...
It is from Vertigo, a celebration of 25 years. They have packed 400 pages of oh my god. They will list every project they have ever worked on, which includes the Sandman, Saga of the Swamp Thing, The Invisibles, Doom Patrol, Preacher, Fables, you name it, it will be in this book. They will have interviews, some of the behind the scenes on some of the artwork. Some of the artists that they've listed off will be Neil Gaiman, Grant Morrison, Brian K. Vaughan, Scott Snyder, Garth Ennis, Brian Azzarello.
Azzarello.
There you go. Frank Quitely, Matt Wagner, Jeff Lemire. So a lot of good names. If they've put a finger on it in the Vertigo world, they will be in this book. So if you've enjoyed the things that have come out of Vertigo in the last 25 years, this will definitely be a masterpiece to your collection.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, 400 pages with some pretty big names there. So
yep.
Yeah, a few of those names we've heard before, you know.
Just a few.
I think. Alrighty. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
Don't think so.
No.
Nothing here.
It totally missed my notice. Otherwise, I would have done something about this. But as y'all who listen to this podcast know that we tend to record these on Tuesday nights, and this is, for the record, Tuesday, October 30th. Today marks the 80th anniversary of the original airing of Orson Welles' The War of the Worlds.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I wish I had known that, because that would have been something we would have covered. And I hate to say it, I've never heard it. I would love to hear this radio show, because for those who are not familiar with this was this was a program, and I'm not sure what actual show it was that was being done, but people actually freaked. There was a bunch of people that freaked, thinking this was an actual invasion, because Orson Welles did such a great performance of what was going on, what supposedly was going on, that people were fearing an attack from Mars. And like I said, I would love to get my hands on this and actually listen to it. And if I had known this was been the 80th anniversary, believe me, we would have done something about this. So I feel like I've totally dropped the ball on it. But I figured we needed to mention it since it came to my attention.
Yep, cool. I didn't think about it either.
It was pretty cool.
Alrighty. Well, with that, we'll get to our regular shout-outs. And first off, I want to thank Maddie the Martyr for supplying the music to our podcast. If you check our show notes, we'll have a link to their music page. I believe they put out a couple of EPs. Definitely go check them out. Thank you guys very much for being so gracious to let us use your music. Second of all, I'd like to thank the fine folks that make up Podern Family on Twitter for spreading the word of the fellowship. It's greatly appreciated. We highly recommend y'all go check them out. And the easiest way to do that is just do a search, hashtag Podern Family, that's all one word, and just scroll down, and if an episode catches your attention, please download it and listen to it. And who knows, you'll more than likely like what you heard and start checking them out as well. So thank you guys for your support. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We do appreciate your support as always. And we value your feedback. We would love to hear from you. If you have a comment, suggestion, question, complaint, observation, whatever, we would love to hear from you. And there are several ways you can do that. You can go to the website. That's www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, and click on the About Us tab, and there's a contact form that you can fill out. Or you can just send us an email, and that's email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can contact us through social media, and we highly suggest you follow us. We are on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks, and obviously we're on Twitter @Fellowship Geeks. And if you're so inclined, you can follow our personal Twitter accounts. Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found @Newman_L. And I can be found @TomTCGeek. And from whatever source you download and listen to our podcast, whether it's through iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or YouTube, we would greatly appreciate it if you would rate our show. And if you have a couple extra moments, a review would be awesome as well. Did I miss anything?
Nope, I think that covers it.
All right. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you once again for your support, everybody. We do appreciate it, and we hope you have a good week. And until next time, read more comics and support your local stores.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook the Fellowship of the Geeks, and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,